Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff is alongside me as ever with Alison McConnell and Tam McManus to look back over the weekend's games of the Scottish Premiership. Lots to talk about. We'll also look ahead to Scotland's crucial World Cup qualifiers. Gabriel Antoniazzi has been out there at the Orium in Edinburgh, just gauging the manager's thoughts and the players ahead of those three big games. So it's an international break, but on this Monday it's a chance for us to reflect on the big games over the weekend. And let's not forget that Edinburgh's Big Two occupy positions 1 and 2 in the Scottish Premiership. But all roads yesterday led to Ibrox for the first Old Firm derby of the season, where Rangers came out on top by a solitary goal by Philip Hilander. You can give us your view on this in the feed just below our live video here on YouTube, and if you want to, you can actually post a message if you download the PLZ Soccer app as well. So let's cut to the chase. Rangers 1, Celtic 0. Were they worthy winners?
They took their chance, and in these games, sometimes there's not many chances come along, but if you don't take them, you suffer the consequences. I don't think it was a great game. I don't think there was much between the two sides. Both of them had chances. As I said, Rangers took them. No, I thought the young boy Mcgregor did particularly well in his first game. Had a couple of saves that could have been very, very vital. But at the end of the day, we said on Friday, whoever wins the game gets the bragging rights, and Rangers have got the bragging rights for this game, and that's the way these games go.
Well, I didn't think they got out of second gear. I thought they deserved their win. I think when you look at Celtic, if their first shot's in 85 minutes, Alison McConnell, then you're going to get exactly what's coming to you. And Rangers waited and scored from a set piece, as they have done in the previous 6 Old Firm derbies.
Yeah, I think you could have looked at it and thought it was a greatest hits package from those games that you've mentioned. I think of the last 7 meetings, I think Rangers have won 6 and there's been a draw. But how often in those games have you seen Celtic dominate possession, have a lot of the ball and just not take their chances and then concede from a set piece? I don't think many of us would have predicted before the game that Celtic wouldn't score. I think that's the first in, maybe the 11 games of Ange Postecoglou's reign they've not gone out and scored a goal. I think they looked limp at points in the second half. I thought the first half was fairly even. I think it might have been a different game if Odsonne Edouard scores that chance, it comes off his heel and goes wide. But I just wonder how much the psychology plays a part in the fixture. I think we've seen the tables turn over the last 20 months or so, and I think over the course of the 90 minutes, I think Celtic lacked belief at times, and I think they lacked big performances from big players.
Well, I'll simplify it and take Alison's point on, Tam. I don't think they have enough good players to go and win the game. I think psychology can get into it at one point, but there are key areas where it's constantly something that's abundantly clear to everybody. The centre-half position is a problem. They brought the left-back boy, the boy who plays right-back in Juranovic, and he played well at left-back. The midfield, I think they're missing a creative player, and certainly in the striking role, Odsonne Edouard, if he leaves tonight, it's how much they get for him, because he has been a man down for over a season.
Yeah, it has been. I think the tables have totally turned on Edouard now. I think the Celtic fans want to see him away now and want to see the money come in for him. I think that performance at the weekend, not just his performance, but his lack of effort, I felt at times. He didn't really put himself about. He's not done that for 18 months now at Celtic. Great opportunity he had, as you mentioned. That's a big chance in an Old Firm game. He's got to take it, I think, with his left foot. He tried to let it run across his right foot and he put it by the post. But I just feel as if Celtic's Christie, Turnbull and Edouard, 3 of them were really poor, and I think that's your 3 guys you're looking for in those games to go and give you that creative spark in the final third, and none of them played well. When they put Kyogo through the middle, I thought that made a big difference. I think he's already said that after the game, that he maybe made a mistake by not playing him through there from the start. So listen, I think Rangers, I agree, I think Rangers just about edged it. I think the set piece is a real problem for Celtic. Every ball come in the box, you think Rangers are going to score. The 2 centre-backs I thought were okay for Celtic, Welsh and Starfelt. Starfelt's took a lot of stick, thought he had a decent game, but I felt the creative players for Celtic never turned up.
Yeah, on a positive note, and I think this is something that's not to be lost on this game, and sometimes I think people, when you look at Old Firm games, they start looking at all the negatives that you can highlight, Ruffy. On the positive side, Rangers are the champions. They're there to defend their title. They're at Ibrox. Okay, there's 50,000 Rangers fans there, so they've got this, there's no feeling of any other opposition fans being there, but they still have to go out, and someone has to try and depose them as champions. And I thought they looked in cruise control. The boy Balogun, I don't know where from anywhere pundits were suggesting he was going to be a disaster, because he was immense. His timing in the tackle was superb. Celtic never had a shot to the 85th minute, so they were in cruise control in the back end. Playing Kyogo out wide, as Tam mentioned, was a gift for them. Barisic, his crossing wasn't great for the game, but he produced the ultimate cross, which produced the winner. And then middle to front, Morelos had one chance, but I just thought they were going through the gears. I think Rangers were looking and saying, right, we've got the Indian sign over Celtic here. We know how to win. We'll just wait, we'll bide our time, and then we'll pick our moment.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up. I think it's a great habit to be in as a football team. You know, if you're comfortable when you get a goal, you're comfortable within yourself, you're going to see the game out, and there's not much of a threat. And when you get into that habit, sometimes you go into games just expecting to win 1-0 or whatever, or stroll through it. But, I just thought, as Ali said, I thought a goal for Celtic might have changed the dynamic of the whole game, as they all do in Old Firm games. You know, it just gives you a massive lift. But, no, Rangers at the end obviously deserve to win the game, but I think Celtic will move on for that. I think we know there's still maybe 2 or 3 pieces of the jigsaw to go in there. So, but Rangers quite comfortable in the end, and they deserved it, and they'll move on.
Yeah. The other aspect of this is potentially in the next 24 hours is who goes and who stays. From a Rangers perspective, it looks as if they're going to lose Barisic, because he was waving to everybody as if he's already discussed with the Rangers board, Steven Gerrard, I'm off. Whether they've got cover coming in, we will wait to find out. There's no point speculating about Morelos. We've been speculating about Morelos since you joined this programme. But do you think they need anything great to adjust this title-winning squad?
I think they need to sell someone. I think you've got to balance the books. Rangers would have been looking towards that Champions League money and looking to see that.
Can I jump in there?
Yes.
Why do you need to balance the books when somebody is constantly bailing them out?
Oh.
If you have Barcelona 1.5 billion in debt and nobody's pressing the investigation into it, if you have Real Madrid thinking we want Mbappe and we're offering you 137 million, I always feel, and not take Rangers out of the equation, any club, if you get constantly
somebody's handling their debt.
Rangers fans, well, you've got Rangers fans in there saying, listen, we'll give you the money, we don't want any interest back on the loans, they're loans, we don't want them right now, get on with it. What's the problem? The dice is being rolled on basically, hopefully getting the Champions League money, hopefully winning the title, somehow sorting out the merchandise deal. But they're going along, like many other businesses, with somebody bailing them out.
Well, they must do. As you said, this is a huge season for both clubs, Celtic and Rangers. The Champions League bounty at the end of it, whoever wins the league gets the money. So maybe Rangers don't need to balance the books, but for me, they've got to sell someone, I thought, in this window.
Yeah.
One of your big guns, a Kent, a Morelos, a Barisic, somebody like that. The Patterson they're talking about now as well.
Yeah.
I think they'll sell someone, Peter. I don't think they'll just go through this whole season without selling anybody and just keep buying players. Yeah,
well, it's an interesting one, because the one thing the managers managed to do, and I think it was evident yesterday, you've got 2 or 3 players who may well have been involved. Definitely Tavernier would have been involved. That's Mcgregor, Stonewall certainty. They mentioned McLaughlin, obviously, because he had the COVID, he would have been on the bench. But he's got cover in every position. I think if Barisic goes, he's maybe looking at a left back. But, does he have to look at a Patterson and just hold out for the right, maybe 10 million for him?
I think the first thing you say is, I would agree, I think Rangers have a depth to the squad, but you would have to qualify that and say it took a while to get there. It took 2 seasons to build that, maybe 4 or 5 windows to get there and have a squad that you're happy with. I do think that a player will be sold to balance the books on the back of not getting into the Champions League campaign, and I appreciate what you're saying from a business perspective that other people do it, but I think it's dicey, I think it's dangerous, and I don't think you have to look back too far to see why. And I think just the indications were all there yesterday for everyone to see that it looks as though it will be Borna Barisic who makes way for it.
Yeah, Patterson is a boy, Ruffy, that I would like to see stay at Rangers. I'd like to see him be developed at Rangers.
Yeah.
I don't think he's had enough games, and I think he's an exciting prospect. And I'd really like to see what Steven Gerrard could do with him, rather than quickly going to an Everton and then we miss out looking at him. I always wanted to see how Billy Gilmour would have developed in Scottish football.
Yeah, I've said it all along. If the boy's going to progress, he's got to play. You know, he's got to play games. He's got to play 20, 25 games a season at least to progress. If he's only playing 6 or 7 games a season, that's not any good for him. And at one stage he is going to be saying, look, I need to be playing. And if you're not going to play me here, let me go somewhere else and I'll play. It's just common sense. He's a young lad. Everybody keeps telling him how good he is and what he's going to be like in the future. But when you're not getting games and you're not getting the excitement of going out in front of 50,000, at some time you're going to say, look, I need to start playing games.
Well, it does have a price, and I'm sure his agent and Nathan Patterson himself would much rather, if 8 million or 10 million is accepted, move on to a huge wage for such a young guy with tremendous prospects. But we'll wait to find out. Gary McAllister was in the dugout yesterday because Steven Gerrard was self-isolating. This is what he had to say on the performance. It's been a strange 3 or 4 days, players playing through injury, COVID, close contact protocols. But you've seen a club come together today. The fans were outstanding. From 1 to 11 we were outstanding, but if I have to pick one, it would be Leon Balogun. The display showed why we brought him here, and I don't think too many people would argue with that. Balogun was absolutely immense in his position, and well worthy of man of the match. You can give us your view on that as well. As ever with the banter on these things, I mean, we've got to, if you fire it out there, you've got to take it back, Ruffy. Is that fair? Yeah. So Paul Beattie says, can you ask Alison if she still thinks Rangers can't handle the pressure in front of their fans? The great thing.
I never had that question coming in a few weeks ago.
No, another thing I was going to say is the great thing about Old Firm fans is they've got a long memory. If you say something, by the way, you're on the list. There you are, and there's a few who are on the list. But I thought I would bring that up. Well done, Paul. Listen, if we give it out and we give you an opinion, we've got to take it back as well. But nevertheless. Ronnie Chapman says, Peter, Josh Doig coming to Rangers. There's a line and a half, eh?
Well, obviously, if you sell Barisic, you might be looking to sign a player, but I think it'll be 3 or 4 million to get Josh Doig out of Hibs. So
yeah,
if Rangers spend the money, then come and get him.
Yep. Okay. That's as far as things are concerned with Rangers. As far as Celtic are concerned, and this is the fallout from it, Ruffy. My personal opinion is, and I said to Ali, and we've kind of looked at it and thought, how many will they get in this window? I think personally Griffiths has to go. I think he's a liability, and I think the person who gave him the extension and the contract needs to have a long hard look at themselves. But I still think they'll need a left back. I do think they need a centre half. I think they need a striker over and above the guy who's coming in, because they're desperately trying to get Griffiths out the door. And I do think they need a creative midfielder, Ruffy. And I know people will talk about Turnbull and they've signed James McCarthy, but there's not a leader, and there's nobody to grab that game in the middle of the park and suddenly say,
what about the boy Jota? Maybe coming in from.
He's a winger.
Yeah.
There's
no Stephen Davis. There's no Stephen Davis who just goes about 90 minutes, gets the ball, brings people into the game.
No, you're right.
Everybody, Mcgregor wants to run, Christie wants to run, they all want, Turnbull wants to run. There's nobody we experience sitting there going, right, let's just pull the strings here. And I don't know that would be.
It's not a Scott Brown, because I think James McCarthy is going to play that kind of a holding role. And one thing I would like to highlight here, guys, is McGregor is unbelievable. He's got some engine on him, and he's building everything. He's coming to the back, taking it off them, and then trying to build everything. And I think at times, what a challenge it is for him to stay fit. He plays relentlessly all the time, but something that can open up defences. That's why originally they bought the likes of a Scott Allen, somebody who could see a pass, but he couldn't get fit, and couldn't play regularly at that level. But they need something, and I don't think they do.
I don't think they do. I think they've got Rogic here and they've got Turnbull.
If Rogic was that good, he should have started yesterday.
He didn't start because I said to you during the week I didn't think he would start because he had a shocker against Alkmaar. So I don't think Celtic are desperately needing a creative midfield
Rogic is a 1 in 4 player.
I think he was playing well up until that Alkmaar game, but you're playing against, no disrespect, your St Mirren, Dundees, teams like that.
Yeah.
You're up against the Rangers and an Alkmaar, good teams.
Yeah.
Then you've got to see how good your performance at levels are.
And I tell you, fair play to their manager. Ange Postecoglou said after the game that he maybe got it wrong in where he played Kyogo.
I just thought Kyogo would be much more of a threat down the middle. To be honest, I probably should have started there to begin with. But obviously with Forrest out and a little bit short on the wide areas at the moment, I had to sort of start with him out on the left. But I knew with his speed, getting Kyogo in the middle was going to cause them problems. That was the main reason. I just thought, as I said, it was prior to them scoring a goal. Obviously, that changed things again.
Yeah, he's fairly honest about it. I mean, he's talking about the fact that he got it wrong there. I don't know why on earth, in a game such as that you don't play him where he's been scoring the goals.
Yeah, but he took a chance on Edouard, didn't he? He took a chance because it could have been his last game, and you're hoping a player like that, with the ability he's got, given the chance in a big game like that, it might just be the occasion where he gets back to where he was. It never worked. And he held his hands up and said, okay, I got it wrong. Managers live and die by their decisions. You saw the runs that the wee boy was making after he went off. They were fantastic, and he had the energy. Edouard, I just don't get it. I don't know the boy personally, but his body language and everything just doesn't tell you he wants to be there. And unfortunately, the player that we remember, when he was at the top of his game, we were talking 25 million, 30 million. It just shows you, if you don't play to the form that you're playing, that figure just dramatically just drops.
Well, we all think he'll be leaving in the next 24 hours, and Callum McGregor was talking about it after the game, and he's mentioned to the Celtic fans that they should remember the good times.
Hopefully we can keep him, but like you said, if that happens, then he's one of the greats. He's scored so many big goals for us, derby goals, cup final goals. So, I hope everybody, if that's the case, then they remember him in a good light. But like I said, we want to keep him, obviously.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's one of the greats. I think Callum McGregor is just slightly glossing that one up a bit.
And I think maybe the last year or so has just tainted the picture a bit. I think he was a very good player for Celtic. I think when he initially came through under Brendan Rodgers, it was an impact there, and then when Celtic signed him in the permanent deal, he sustained it. I just think he was their top scorer last season, but I think when you reflect in that season, he's stained a bit by it and just tarnished by the manner in which it fell apart, and also I think the circulation of all the gossip about wanting away and body language not being right. And it's funny, isn't it? If that goal goes in yesterday, the one that comes off his heel that we've referenced, I think you talk about it in a very different manner. But in some aspects, I think it's a bit unfair. I think actually he's played all right over the last month or so. I think he's showed up. I think his inclusion yesterday was the manager going with his best front three. I think he thought it was his strongest front three. I think it was a system that he thought would stretch Rangers and try and bring the three of them into play. It didn't work, it didn't come off in the manner that it did, but I think it's such narrow margins.
Well, I thought Abada was posted missing. I didn't see him in the game, actually. It was one of those ones you thought, oh, there's a boy who's won a competition to play in an Old Firm game, because I couldn't see him in the entire game. I'm being slightly facetious, but nevertheless. Anyway, apart from anything else, thanks to all the people who are posting their comments. Rangers fans talking about the positives, how they played, the man of the match, Balogun, which I think is great. Celtic fans, obviously, disappointed. Don't forget, if you are posting any messages, we'd like to read out a few of them. Try and keep it as decent as you possibly can. We always appeal to the 95%. Sometimes I say 99, Ruffy, but after an Old Firm game, the 95% of people who actually love their club and want to talk about the positives of it. But I apologise if anybody does read the feed and are offended by some of the gutter that actually sometimes infects our feed. But nevertheless, there are a lot of great fans out there who love their club. What we do on a daily basis is try and report what is coming out on that day and the news that's being released. So that kind of hopefully takes care of the next part, which is for what I call the whataboutery brigade. So you're wasting your time if you're going to start pointing fingers elsewhere, because basically the Police Scotland have released a statement. This is on a group of fans who were filmed going through Glasgow city centre singing songs which again are about the famine, derogatory towards Roman Catholics, and the Police Scotland have released a statement on the sectarian chanting. We did not facilitate the event, and to say so is inaccurate. Officers on patrol came across this group as it was making its way through Glasgow city centre. Due to the number and to ensure public safety, additional officers were called to assist, and at this point individuals' details were noted and the group dispersed. A retrospective investigation into the anti-Irish Catholic singing has been launched, and we are following up a number of lines of inquiry, including reviewing CCTV footage and footage on social media. I fully expect a number of arrests to be made. The type of anti-Irish Catholic behaviour is wholly unacceptable. Our inquiries are ongoing to identify those who were involved, and we will take appropriate action. Now, that's a statement that's come out, and the police have to deal with it. I think, off the park, or even people who run onto the park, I think the responsibility is on the police to take action against them. It's something we mention on a regular basis on the show. Sometimes I think we get bogged down for 10, 20 minutes on talking about the need for people to behave and the need for people to address whether it's racism or sectarian behaviour or any inappropriate behaviour or prejudice towards anyone, whether it be LGBT or anyone else. It's something that we frown upon and we condemn on a regular basis on this show, Alison. It's not going to go away. It's down to the police and the government to take action on a regular basis to ram home the message.
I would agree. I think this time last week we were discussing the aftermath of an incident, a racism incident on a bus. I think Rangers as a club, were very swift to deal with it, and there was widespread condemnation of it. I think this is very similar. I think it's embarrassing. I think it doesn't paint the city in a good light at all. It doesn't paint that element of the Rangers support in a good light, and I think you need the same levels of condemnation, and it needs to be the same consistent condemnation of it.
Okay, so we'll wait to see what the police and their further investigations deliver on that. But that's Rangers against Celtic. There are other games that have taken place over the weekend. Tam is itching to discuss the Hibbies, but we're going to hold them back because quite simply on a Monday we added our man in the North East, Andrew Shiney, to get his take on all things Aberdeen, because we were hoping that Andrew would come on every now and then and he'd be high as a kite as Aberdeen started to fire in a few results. But I watched the game, Ruffy, and I have to say Aberdeen got a late equaliser from Ramirez, and the fans were celebrating as if they'd just won the Cup Winners' Cup again. I mean, it's been a dismal start.
Yeah, I think at the end it was desperation. You know, the chances were coming and going, left, right, and centre. But Ross County could have had that game early on. I cannot still believe how he cleared that off the line the way he did, the Aberdeen defender. I don't know what he tried to do with the position he was in. So Malky will be disappointed, obviously really disappointed at the end, the way they lost the goal, and I'm sure the goalkeeper will be equally disappointed the way it happened. But when you keep continually having chances and missing them, and you don't think it's going to come, the plus marks are they persevered and they got it.
Okay, let's see what Andrew is going to say to us. Andrew, we can get somebody to speak to you on the phone tonight if you are on that big a downer, but you haven't won a game in 5. Come on, what's happening there?
I think there's mitigating circumstances, shall we say. There's a new group of players together, which has changed considerably since the start of the season. I mean, 4 new faces in just this week. A new management team who are trying to implement a new style of play in the club. So it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, as you say, the good thing yesterday was that they did persevere, and in the end of the day, they got a point that I think, on the balance of play, they deserved. But I have to agree with what Malky Mackay had to say after the game, that they did come away feeling a bit miffed at the fact that they didn't take 3 points, because they created a lot of chances, which unfortunately is the hallmark of Aberdeen at the moment. They are giving opposition teams a lot of opportunities in front of goal, and you cast your mind back to the Derek McInnes era, people mumped and moaned about, oh, boring Aberdeen winning 1-0. Hey, you're winning games. But this keeping the door closed tightly at the back ethos seems to have gone out the window a wee bit. 1 clean sheet in 10 is most unusual for Aberdeen. But I think having the international break now, giving the new players a chance to integrate into the group and get Stephen Glass and Alan Russell and Scott Brown getting the message across to everybody about how they want Aberdeen to play, I think maybe the next portion of the season is when we can judge Aberdeen. Just now, it's a work in progress. Stephen Glass said that after the game, but it's not all, sackcloth and ashes up here in the northeast. The quality of football is not too bad. We would much prefer to see fewer goals being scored against us, but it's a roller coaster that most people are actually enjoying.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm glad we actually got the chance to hear your take on it, Andrew, because sometimes when you look at the results just as a flat result, you look and you think Aberdeen 1, Ross County 1 is not good enough, Tam. I'm hoping Andrew's got a wee box there with a wee light on it, and there's a little volume control at the side of it. I hope he turns it up a bit, because if he turns it up a bit, we might be able to hear him even louder, and then we can... Andrew, try that. Tell me how that sounds. Is that better?
Is that better?
Yes, that's 10 times better. Okay, before I go back to him, Tam, I mean, honestly, no wins in 5, but as Andrew mentioned here, and Ruffy is constantly high. Look at him desperately trying to get in to say they're out of the League Cup and they're out of the Europe as well.
Well, to be honest, I think Andrew's right there. I listened a wee bit there. It's a work in progress. They're signing a lot of players. There are not a lot of new faces coming in, new staff. 4 new players signed this week, I think. So you've got to give them a bit of time. I think the international breakers came at the right time. I think Stephen and Alan and the coaching staff get a real chance to work with the players now. Settle them in, bed them in, the new guys. And, they've got 8 points out of 12 in the league. It's not a bad start. It's a decent start. I think they'll improve as the season goes on. But when Stephen Glass got the job, I did say to you, they'll be very, very attacking. And I don't think they've been very clever at the back. But they look as if they've got goals in them. They'll score. But I think he needs Bates to come in and shore up the back, because I don't think defensively they're good enough for the way Stephen wants to play. Yeah, and just on that point, Andrew, signings, everybody hangs on the manager's every word. What about Aberdeen? I mean, they've been active and brought in players. Bates is one of them. Do you anticipate any more coming in?
To be honest, Peter, no, I don't. I think it's more likely that you'll see people going away from Pittodrie. Matty Kennedy has been the subject of speculation about moving away on loan, possibly to St Mirren. Obviously, the speculation surrounding Lewis Ferguson won't go away until such time as the transfer window closes. But I think the incoming door has been closed now. But David Bates, I think, will add to the defensive lineup. Declan Gallagher has had a shaky start to his Aberdeen career. Andy Considine being out injured, you certainly miss the calming influence that he's got at the back. And Ryan Hedges' ability, his flair, his intuitive play has all been missing from the middle of the park. If you were looking for one more, it would be a creative midfielder, but unfortunately they don't grow on trees and they don't come cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew, as ever, always great to chat to Andrew Shiney. We will obviously hear from Andrew after the international break as well. He's our man up there, keeping his eye on Aberdeen. Thanks to Andrew for that. And he makes a great point. Listen, we're talking about the players that every team needs. A creative midfielder, as Andrew says, they don't grow on trees and they cost a bit of money now, or you have to be lucky and suddenly unearth somebody coming through as talent.
Without question, I think, especially when you get to this stage of the window, I think it can be very difficult to identify a player in a fairly specialised role like that and bring them in. I think what you tend to find is with positions like that, your business is done fairly early on in the window, or it's the culmination of a long pursuit. I think it's very rare for a team to pull something like that out of the hat. I think strikers too come under the same category, and just trying to bring someone in at the very, very late stages of the window, I think it can be notoriously difficult. But you're right, I think it's key areas of your pitch, key areas of your team, pivotal roles, it can be very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm reading some of the messages that are coming through. It's just a relentless feed of people feeding off the games and the matches that we're talking about. Ruffy, are you going to handle the Jambos? Well, is it your turn this week to handle them? 2-0 against Hearts. Great result. Got a fortuitous break on the penalty, but Boyce was there to put it in the back of the net. And 2-0 was a good score.
Yeah, I thought the penalty was a bit soft.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought it was. I watched it 2 or 3 times, and I was trying to. I think it was because he. I think he delayed going down. You know, I think that's what made it look a wee bit iffy. But you're right. I mean, he was fortunate enough. The goalkeeper made a right good save. I don't know how the ball came back. I think he dived too quick. You know, he sort of palmed it back to him rather than palmed it away. So he got a wee rub of the green. But as I watched the game. And the highlights of it, everybody was talking about Craig Gordon, you know, that he won the game for him.
He's been magnificent, hasn't he?
I thought that the first 2 saves were run-of-the-mill quality saves, but the last one was real quality, and that was the impressive one, the one for the free kick for Mcgregor. It was outstanding, because you must have seen it quite late.
Yeah.
But you're right, I mean, Robbie talks about him after the game, and if you've got players in front of him who know he can make these saves, it's a bonus. You know, and he's continued to keep the form, and everything keeps coming up. You know, why did Celtic let him go?
Honestly, I mean, I know it's going to be a bugbear for everybody, but Ali, I hate to. I'm not even trying to be, you know, a muckraker here, but there's got to be something else. You cannot suddenly think to yourself, "There's a guy who is an international goalkeeper, and you don't want to pay him the money." But you want to give it to a foreign goalkeeper in Barkas who comes in and the manager didn't want him. I'm gobsmacked by the whole Craig Gordon scenario. There's got to be something, a fallout or something that maybe was it. Maybe the player just said, "Look, I want to go back. I want to go back east." I don't know, but
I think
did Ali, you know, say Ali was asked to take a dramatic drop in wages, like 50% or something like that, and he's just common sense. He just said, "I'm not having that."
I wouldn't be privy to the sums that it was, but I think there was an element of that to it. I think as time goes by, it becomes an increasingly myopic decision when you see how well he's performed for Hearts. You have to remember, Craig Gordon lost years of his career through injury. Although he's of advanced years now, even in terms of a goalkeeper, he still has played at an exceptional level.
yeah.
He has
He
that
could still have
experience.
another couple of years, Ali.
Yeah.
To have disregarded it and discounted it so quickly, I think was staggering. When he was on the cusp of moving away, the last few weeks of that, you know, I wouldn't have been the only journalist asking if there was an opportunity to reassess, if there would have been a longer term contract on the table, and it was very much dismissed. It was very much like it was a fait accompli that the decision had been made. And I think the more you see him perform at this level and see that he still has it, I think the more that it looks like a baffling call. Even if he hadn't been first choice, or you didn't think he was going to be first choice, I think it would have made sense for Celtic to keep him last season.
You won't know this, Tam, because obviously at times you won't follow the other half of the city in Edinburgh, but this is this today is a big day. It's called Heart and Soul Day.
I've seen that, yeah.
Because obviously, you know, they're now Hearts.
That means you're now a part owner of Hearts as well, isn't it?
The big
They're in Budget's pocket.
the biggest fan-owned football club, but my God, Ali, not only do I get it on the feed, I get it from Bonzo here as well. I mean, listen, they're the biggest fan-owned club in Great Britain. It is a fabulous, you know, for any club that wants the PR of a group of supporters who got behind it, albeit they've got I think a multi-millionaire in there as well, but they still put their money where their mouth was.
Yeah, they have, and obviously I'm very Hibs orientated, but I've got to give massive credit to Hearts supporters. You know, that club was on its knees under Romanov, you know, nailing out the game. The supporters have clubbed together, they've put their money in every month. I think there's 8,000 of them or 10,000 of them, which is fantastic. And you know, it's a proud day, I think, for every Hearts supporter to see that they're now running the club after seeing some of the tough times we've had in the past. So, no, fair play to the foundation of Hearts. I think they've done a tremendous job, as is Anne Budge. And now they'll go and try and push the club on, I think. Yeah,
and to her credit, Ruffy, she did exactly what she said she was going to do. She would take a period of time. She put the money in, and then she transferred the ownership over to them, and she's done exactly that. And if they wanted her to step down, she would have. But I don't think you ask someone of that stature and business acumen to step down.
No, I think you need somebody like that on the board. I don't know the structure of their board, how it works with the supporters and the board, but everything's very positive. You get the results on the park and all that money coming in. You can see the players that Hearts are bringing in. The money is no problem. I don't think they'll have any problem with their budgets or going over budgets or whatever, because the money seems to be piling in, and the manager's using the money well just now, and they're getting results. And what a game we've coming up in the next Premier League game, Hibs and Hearts. What a game.
Yeah. Do you think, in the commentary, you'll be able to keep your composure? Because, you've lost it in a couple of what I call small games. So what are you going to be like if you score against the Jambos?
I think I could possibly be going to Tynecastle as well. I'm going to get in with them.
Of course, you'd be able to get in, won't you?
I'll need to go, maybe need to go in a balaclava run, but no, this is a big test for both clubs. I think the Hibs have had the...
Bearing in mind the latest Police Scotland statement, just go in as your own, will you?
You can do better than what happened with me. When we were doing it, we went to Tynecastle and we were walking in about an hour and a half before the game, and there were supporters quite high up, and this boy here, "Hey, Ruffy, catch this!" And I turned around, there was a big pie flying to the very top.
Did you go like that? Oh no, he couldn't. Or the best one ever, which he wasn't privy to at the time, but on the gantry at Ibrox, we were over on the far right-hand side, as we often are, on the far right hand side at half time. Says Ruffy, nip along there, all the press get a pie at the far end. Well, by the time he got to the left hand side, he'd been battered relentlessly by everybody, all in sundry and spots him. It's a long walk. It's a long walk, Ruffy, isn't it?
You've got tea and pies and you're trying to keep your head down.
Absolutely, it was brilliant. Hey, listen, you love the banter. If you give it out, you've got to be able to take it back in. And thanks to the millions of people on here who are suggesting that we're on a downers today. I don't know where you got that from. Football is a joyous occasion. It's great to talk about some of the things that go on at the games. And of course, if you want opinion, you'll get it on this programme. We ask you on countless occasions, if you enjoy the banter, if you enjoy the chat, then why not subscribe to our YouTube channel? We're exclusively Monday to Friday on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. We'd love you to join us on a regular basis, and tell your friends as well. We give away lots of prizes. We gave away a Celtic top and a Rangers top last week. There are more prizes on the way. If you want to contribute to the programme, if you're one of those people who's confident enough to actually record yourself, we've got our Plz Soccer App. If you download it, just basically, I know people think I've got a huge phone, but I think if you download it and just hit submissions in the menu, you can record yourself, or indeed you can post a message and it drops straight into the programme. If you are recording yourself and we use it on the programme, we'll send you something special out. So that's if you've got the ability to speak and chat about your opinions. We'd love to have you on board to do that. Anyway, apart from anything else, the Jambos, well done to them. 2-0 win over Dundee United. What about the Hibbies? Again, 2-0. Nisbet, still time, Tam, still time for him to go.
No, I don't think he'll be going anywhere at this late stage now. Hibs have got a title to win this season, so...
Has he signed the extension? Has he signed the new contract?
No, I think it's only fair that, Hibs, bump his money up. You're talking £3-5 million for a guy that's maybe not earning a lot of money. You've got to reward them by...
Why would
them up taking a Boyle's wages as well?
Why would they bump him up if there was nothing in that story?
Yeah, I think you've got to. The boy's done very well. He came for them Fairlawn. I think you've got to bump his money up, and I think Hibs will be preparing to do that. But in terms of the game at the weekend there, first half, thought Hibs were poor, to be honest. Thought Livingston came with a game plan, 5-4-1, stuck everybody behind the ball, worked really, really hard, but I just thought they can't keep that up for 90 minutes. The two wide men coming back and doubling up on Boyle and Murphy. Second half, individual quality for Nisbet. Great goal to nothing. Turns the boy inside. The boy, I felt sorry for the sub for Livingston, because literally he'd just come on 20 seconds. The ball get played in behind. I think he was still trying to get his breath, and Nisbet turned him inside out and got the goal. And then, if Barcelona scored the second Hibs goal, they'd be talking about it for a month. Scott Allen, wee back heel, Boyle runs in, Dinks a goalie, absolutely world class.
Yeah. Okay. There are some. Is the word I'm looking for hyperbole? I mean, that's a description of a dink over the goalkeeper, Ruffy. It was a good goal. Yeah, it was a good goal. Messi-esque, but not quite. But Martin Boyle, as Tam has pointed out on countless occasions, he is a star man.
Yeah, he's got pace to burn. I've noticed that more and more now, that teams are looking for pace, particularly in a forward area. You get somebody in a wide area. I mean, I know it's not maybe the same level, but the wee boy Jake Hasty, I didn't realise how fast he was. And if you've got that kind of pace and you're running away from people, it's an asset. And Boyle's got it all, and he's got the finish as well. And I mean, Tam did sum that up right. It was fantastic. Alan's back heel. How many players have got the imagination to do that and find somebody to be aware that where he is, with his back to him, and he has the awareness to do that back heel. It was brilliant.
How many minutes is Scott Allen getting?
No, he came on midway through the first half in the weekend, so that was great for him. I thought second half he came onto a game. He still needs games, but Jamie Murphy could possibly be out for a while now with his hamstring again, which is unfortunate for him. So I think that Scott Allen could possibly now get a wee run in the team. Obviously Tynecastle coming up, great opportunity for him.
Yep, absolutely, and he scored an absolute belter in an Edinburgh derby at Easter Road as well. Nathan Wood on loan, expected to come in today. Are you expecting any more?
He was sitting in front of me at the game on Saturday, and
did you ask him to come on the show, or did you just look at him and wave and say, "Great to have you here, Nathan"?
He was sitting with his agent, but listen, by all accounts, I've been doing a wee bit of googling and a wee bit of research, and supposedly he's a very, very talented young player. So I think Hibs need a defender, and they're possibly looking at a striker as well. So I think that Hibs will bring at least 2 or 3 in before the window closes. I really do. Yeah,
that's the headline for tomorrow's show. East Kilbride man has computer. Yeah, well done, Tom.
Sign up here if anybody's lost one.
No. Yeah, exactly, Ruffy. Knows how to work Google and everything. Fantastic. I haven't changed my mind on Livingston. I predicted them to go down, Ali. I don't see any evidence to suggest they're going to climb away from the bottom.
They've had a really difficult start.
Tough run of games.
They had a really quite gruelling schedule when you look at it, but I think I tipped them to be in the bottom 6 too, and I would stick to it. I think too it can be so significant when you have a poor start to try and recover from it. I think it can take a while to just find a bit of momentum again.
Tony Watt, Motherwell, 1-0 win over Dundee. It's the first time I tipped Dundee to win, but it was a lovely header from Tony Watt. I mean, he's back to goal. A little glance because he knows where the goals are.
Yeah, it's one of these ones that takes everybody by surprise, but he obviously knew what he was doing. Caught the goalkeeper cold as well, caught the centre-halves as well. I thought Dundee should have taken something out of that game. I was quite impressed with them. I thought they had a few chances to take something, but it wasn't to be. But and then I see when Motherwell are sitting in the league, and you wouldn't have thought that, a fortnight ago, the results that they were having.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I think it's a red card. I've seen Graham Alexander moaning about it after the game. I think it was a stonewall red card.
Yeah,
no?
Did you, Ali?
I'm not sure.
No.
I'm not quite as convinced.
I thought he went in. The boy's lucky to get away with that now.
Yeah. On the positive sense of it, I mean, Graham Alexander focused on the one main talking point in the game, which was, of course, Tony Watt's goal, and he's just been so happy with his form since he got back into the team.
Yeah, it's a fantastic ball in from Jake, and Tony's getting to those areas really well now and hitting the target more. A lot of work going into the training pitch with him and the other strikers, and it's paying off at the moment. He's been excellent since he's come back into the team.
Yeah, on the downside, Charlie Adam went off injured, Ruffy. It's not the back spasm that he had a problem with last week as well. So I think there's a wee problem there, and that'll be a blow for Dundee.
A blow for Charlie, in the form that he's been in, and I'm sure Dundee will miss him a lot. He really adds something to that team. Obviously, we always say it jokingly, a lot of runners round about him, but he's got that much ability. He can do anything with that left foot, and he will be sadly missed. So let's hope it's not. We'll find out, obviously, when we see him.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's not a long term.
But they're playing good football, Ali. So from that perspective, if they could somehow engineer Celtic to do some sort of deal for Lee Griffiths, all the good football, they need goals to get them away from there. It's all right, all of us. And I've watched them a couple of times, and I think they play some nice football.
I've seen them a few times too, and I think they try and play a bit. I think Charlie Adam will be a miss if he's out, just because of his experience and his creativity. But I would agree with you. I think Lee Griffiths to Dundee would be an extraordinary move for them. Whether or not it's viable is another question. Whether or not the finances are in play to make it happen, I'm not sure about. But if you can have a fit Lee Griffiths who is capable of going in and contributing, then it would be an asset to any team. But the real issue has been a level of fitness that could carry him through a campaign.
Yeah, in the other match, the Battle of the Saints, it was 0-0, although Jim Goodwin was well miffed that they didn't get a goal that was adjudged to be offside from Conor McCarthy, and I think that left him slightly unhappy. As far as St Johnstone are concerned, haven't quite hit the heady heights of last season. I think maybe some of the players with the distraction of what they were trying to achieve in Europe might have taken their eye off the ball in this first month of August. And of course, as we suggested, there's a number of clubs trying to cherry pick their players. The High Bees are one of them, Jamie McCart.
Yeah, I think that Hibs will go back in for him. I think they're desperate to get him. I think they've had 3 bids knocked back. I think they'll have one more last gasp effort to try and get him in, because he's absolutely perfect. You know, left-sided centre-back, that's what Hibs are looking for. But I think St Johnstone now, once they've got one game a week coming up, you know, no European games, I think you'll start to see them coming up the table, because they've got too many good players. But I think they might lose a couple before the window closes. Yeah,
here's a look at the table, and I think it's great if you're a Hibby and you're looking at the Premiership table, because there at the top, Hibernian, Hearts, and then just tucked in behind them with a point behind is Rangers, the champions, with that strong message with that win over Celtic. And there's 3 points between them and their great rivals. Celtic mid-table at the moment, Aberdeen and Motherwell up there in the top 6. And at the bottom end, I think I tip Livingston to have a tough start. David Martindale is adamant that they won't be there at the end of the season. We shall see. But early days, it's only 4 games, Ruffy. A lot can change in that table.
Yeah, winning games, 3 points. Look at Motherwell. You know, we were all tipping the manager to be on a Shugley nail, and he gets a couple of results, and look where they are in the league. And that's what every other manager will be saying. They'll be looking at the fixture list. They'll be looking at teams that they're playing down where they are in the league, and hopefully they can win them.
Yeah, and if the the results over the weekend brought a fair bit of consternation and people absolutely hammering us on this feed here, then wait till you see Gabriel's team of the week to see exactly whether you think more of your players should be in it. Craig Gordon in goal, Ramsey, Balogun, Helander, Anderson. I think he's actually just moved Balogun over to centre half to get Ramsey in there. Beningme, Davis, and it's Charles Cook and Callaghan, Boyle and Watt. What do you make of that, Tam?
I had Kyle McGuinness in. I thought Kyle McGuinness was fantastic at the weekend in terms of the Hibs performance, but apart from that, the team looks pretty good to me.
Yep, not a Celtic player in there, Ruffy.
No, I don't
Is
think.
that a fair comment?
Yeah, I think so. I think
he's starting to do it on a regular basis now.
Oh, well, a regular basis. You're not going away with it on this show if he does it on a regular basis.
Staunch.
Yes.
Gabriel Staunch.
No, I don't think there was any Celtic players out there, you know, shone to the heights to get into a team of the week.
Yeah, there's a good point actually that Larry David has mentioned. Hopefully Gordon Strachan will open negotiations with Gordon Strachan over the sale of Griffiths to Dundee. That's actually brilliant, Larry. That is the quote of the whole of their feed. Well done on Griffiths. Who knows? Now, if we're talking about team of the week, forget about the team of the week. What about the predictor?
She's been waiting for.
Been waiting for it. Look at your face. You can't wipe a smile off Ali's face. What a weekend you had.
I should put some money on it, shouldn't I?
Oh.
Yeah, stop clocks and twice a day, I think.
Ali, look at that. You had 16 points from correct predictions. You're now from, were you second bottom to start with?
I think I was. I think I've just had a quite extraordinary renaissance this weekend.
It's unbelievable. Ali, you're in 41 then, Hugh McDonald in 35. I'm on 34 with Tam. We had an absolute nightmare, Tam. And then, of course, Ruffy and poor Gabriel, who Alison clearly feels sorry for, because she suggested why don't we all put in a kitty? So, no chance. Last pays for it.
He's going to get a Groupon or a voucher for us. A meal for 8 in Nando's or something.
Ruffy, if you're 16 points is some going. I mean, Ali came from actually saying to her husband, look, we're not going to go as big a holiday because I'm going to put some money behind for a meal out to hell with Bahamas next year.
Let's go. These predictions are all about 1 minute you're down there. What did you have the week before? 4 or something
remember.
like that, you know.
Something.
So,
I'm actually wondering what your record weekend is. I had such a good weekend. I was wondering if I'd set a record.
Did you have?
16.
Oh no, Peter said a 17.
Oh, so almost 50.
I was absolutely, you nearly had the record, Ali, but...
Ruffy's just delighted that Gabs is in this year. You have done the bottom in the year. You're hopeless.
Ruffy, you've lost 9 years in the trot. This is us going into our 10th year.
It's not going to happen this year. I'm going to have a big one like Alison, and I'm going to be up there. I'm going to...
Yeah, it's a good point you make, Ruffy. Don't worry about it because, as you know, we're in Scotland. Nobody gets 10 in a row, Ruffy. You'll be fine. You'll be all right. Oh, the whole feed's gone mental. But anyway, apart from anything else, Ruffy, Gabs is there and he's making a complete pig's ear of it. Scotland, what's happening with this whole call-off situation? Of course, Steve Clarke has been really worried about all the players are getting called off, so we sent our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi through to Edinburgh to the Oriam for the Scotland squad gathering.
Thanks, Peter, and good afternoon from Oriam here in Edinburgh, where Scotland have just taken part in their first training session ahead of their World Cup qualifying triple header over the next 10 days. I spoke to manager Steve Clarke earlier. He said it's been the most difficult camp to date in terms of pullouts. Scott McTominay and Stuart Armstrong didn't join up at all. They were injured, and James Forrest and Greg Taylor, the Celtic duo, have also missed out despite being named in the squad due to injury. Now you've got John McGinn and Nathan Patterson. Both will miss the opening game against Denmark on Wednesday due to self-isolation, but will be available for the other two, whilst Austin McPhee, the new assistant boss here at Scotland, also has COVID, so won't be able to link up. Stephen Naismith, the former international and Hearts player, will be an extra set of eyes for Clarke over the next few days, but no doubt it's been a difficult start for Scotland.
Probably 2 years into my international career, it's probably been the most disruptive camp as we head into it in terms of call-offs, which is disappointing. But like I said before, I think I've got enough in the current group to go to Denmark and hopefully get the result that we all want.
Still very positive all in all though, considering Euro 2020 was the last time that the team were all together. The games after Denmark are Moldova at home and then Austria away. It's going to be crucial to get some big results here if they do want to make it to Qatar 2022, and that is the aim for Clarke and his men.
Look at it as three great games. You know, after the tournament in the summer, we all got a little taste. We want to make sure it's not another 20 odd years before we go back to another tournament. So it's a big week for us.
Clarke also told us he'll be sticking with the three at the back formation that was so successful in qualifying and then especially down at Wembley in the European Championships. We spoke to Craig Gordon as well. He's the new number one and he's looking forward to working with his new goalkeeping compatriots.
Us guys are not getting any younger, so it's good to see the younger ones coming through and getting in squads. They've both had fantastic starts to the season, so fully deserve their place in the squad, and I'm sure they'll be challenging.
So a testing start for Scotland, but they've got to be confident they can get something from that Denmark game on Wednesday as we continue to build up to that from here in Edinburgh.
Yeah, thanks to Gabriel there. All quiet there for Gabriel behind him. It's totally different from yesterday, Ruffy, when they were...
It was funny yesterday. Us and the fans were beginning to appear behind him. and he kept...
do you know what's funny about it, Alison? Do you remember that sketch with Kevin Bridges when he's talking about when he meets Danny Dyer? Danny Dyer, who thinks it's the toughest match in the world, it's the most dangerous. and he starts saying, this is the most dangerous. And then the guy comes behind him and goes, come on, the Rangers. And he goes, it's kicked off. It's kicked off. And that was Gabriel, wasn't it? Honestly, he just kept looking behind him. And there's fans going, Rangers, you know, and he started to look about. And I thought, he's going to wait a while, Ruffy, if he was going to wait for a Celtic fan to go past him, because there were none.
That's right.
Brilliant. Anyway, apart from the downside of what he's reporting on, which is basically, Ali, well, we've got 3 big qualifiers coming up, and boy, do we need something. I don't think we're going to get anything from Denmark. I'm suddenly looking at this and thinking, are we going to qualify?
I think it's really tough. I think it's a very, very difficult group, and I think when you add in all the disruptions to the squad, the players that are missing through COVID, I think it just makes the task all the more difficult. But in terms of Denmark, I mean, they're just on the back of a fairly successful European Championships campaign, got to the last 4. I think they'll be an extraordinarily difficult team for Scotland to take anything from.
Yeah, and we need to take something. I mean, I said to you last week, and you looked at me as if I was completely insane, 7 points from 9, but we need to get something from them to give us that little confidence boost.
Yeah, obviously dropping a couple of points at home to Austria was, cause I think it's going to be out us and Austria for the second place. I think Denmark will win the group, so I think you're looking at your second place there, and you know, it goes without saying you've got to beat Moldova, and then Austria. The head-to-heads with Austria will be important, because I think Scotland could beat the other couple of teams in there, Faroe Islands, Moldova. So listen, I just think you've got to take 7 points out of 9, because I think that Denmark will take maximum points.
Ruffy?
Yeah, I think we need to take something for the Austria game and obviously win the home game. I can't see anything against Denmark either, but we saw the performance the guys put up against England. It's going to be that kind of performance, just dogged, just sitting there, everybody battling, fighting for each other. Craig Gordon making some good saves, and who knows, but let's hope for Scotland's sake we do take something out of these 3 games.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, from Scotland, a couple of points before we finish today. Thanks to everyone for obviously. Ronnie Porter says, Peter, I can't see Scotland qualifying from this group. Ronnie, I'm a bit like yourself. I think the best we can hope for is second in a playoff, but even then I'm pushing my optimism on it, but I certainly hope so, because Ronnie, I don't know if you're aware of it, but we will do everything we can, Ali, to be reporting from Qatar, Ruffy. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? I mean, you'd probably won't have those shorts on, because they look as if they've seen better days. But
yeah, they're just my second pair I've got.
Yeah, exactly.
Swimming shorts.
It'd be nice if we could go out to Qatar.
Yeah, obviously somebody would have to go and do a recce, you know, for a month before we get there. So you know, we'll have to put the names in the hat for that one.
Yeah, could you get enough work to go out to Qatar with us, Ali?
I think I'd struggle.
Yeah, I can imagine you saying to your husband, I'm going to Qatar with Tam, Ruffy and Peter. It's all strict. Well, you can't drink. Not allowed to drink out there, so we'd have to follow the rules, to be honest with you. What about the football elsewhere? Messi, I saw him in a PSG shirt. It looked strange, and now we're going to see Ronaldo in a Manchester United shirt, which doesn't look strange. But Messi was just, it's amazing. Came on as a substitute, standing ovation, no surprise, few little tricks here and there, but Mbappe was the star of the show, and he's heading out the door.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's going to find it hard to get into the team. You know, you can't change a winning team, PSG, so he maybe just find himself on the bench all season if PSG keep winning.
Yeah, I don't even know why I'm bothering to look at you with nonsense, because there's no chance. He will fit in brilliantly into that side. Mbappe, I think, for 137 million. No worries over investment at Real Madrid. They're so much in debt as well, but they're still wanting to sign players.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. He's such an exciting proposition too. But yeah, I think the fair play financial rules aren't maybe ones that we want to look too closely at.
No, you're right, Ali. And Bob White, I think, is fantastic, Ruffy, because Bob White's just come up with a bit of information that I did not know. You can drink in Qatar, Peter. Lots of bars inside the hotel.
It's actually gone again.
So that's us. We're
only going to go there, are you?
We're back on.
Well, let's hope we do qualify now. I was beginning to lose interest.
Well, thanks for that, Bob. I hope that's right. Because see if we get over there and we can't get a drink in the hotel, you'd think we were alcoholics. We were like a little swally here and there. Anyway, apart from anything else, Ronaldo is the one that I'm excited about. I'm not even a Manchester United fan. I mean, I want Liverpool to win the league, but Ronaldo coming back to Manchester United, Alison, is fantastic.
I think it gives the league a boost. I think it just creates a bit of intrigue. There's already been plenty said about it, different opinions about whether or not his lack of mobility now is a hindrance, but I think he's huge profile. You're bringing in a superstar back to the club, a boy that went in as a kid and started off there, and then it completes the circle with his return. I wonder how much influence Alex Ferguson had in the decision and the call that was made.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure it's a move that would excite the Man United fans.
Did you watch the game yesterday against Wales?
Yeah,
they were very lucky.
Yeah,
they need to sign I don't know if McTominay's injured, but they need to sign a defensive midfield player. they're not going to win a league.
Yeah, well, they've got Varane there, so I think they'll get a few more clean sheets, that's for certain. The other point about this, I'd love to be the journalist in there who says, is Ronaldo just going to wait to see if he can get himself into the team first of all? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has a message for the Manchester United strikers.
Let's get Cristiano signed first, and of course he's not signed to sit on the bench. Of course he's not. He's gonna do. He's gonna make us a better team, of course. But 28 games unbeaten, it's special. Of course, we know it's partly due to no crowd in the stadiums for a while, but we want to keep that run going.
Yeah, he's not there to sit on the bench. He's there to play in that number 9 role. What a different player they're getting back this time. You know, this is a guy who played as a number 7, Ruffy, and he's now a number 9, which he transformed himself into in that second part of his career.
We've said so much about him. You know, he's a match winner, he's a cup winner, he's everything. You know, any team he plays for, they win something, whether it's a Euro Cup or a World Cup or whatever. You know, and that's what you've got in your dressing room, and I'm sure he'll continue to do that. And that's why, obviously, Man United have got him there. They want to start winning cups again.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, thanks to so many people who have sent us messages. Obviously, the majority of them are on the Old Firm game. Paul McGinley says, cruise control Gers is total rubbish, Peter. And that's the joy of a Rangers-Celtic game. It stirs the passion, Ruffy. I love the Monday after the Old Firm game because at the end of the day, you can offer your opinion on it. Celtic were there to try and beat Rangers. They couldn't do it.
No, at the end of the day, as we said right at the very beginning, take your chances, score a goal, you win games. And in these big games, and Alison touched on it, the first goal is always important. The first goal doesn't matter whether you're home or away, everybody gets a lift from it, and then you've got to do something about it, and just Celtic couldn't do anything about it.
Have you seen enough, Ali, as we finish this programme, from Celtic to suggest that they could wrestle the title away from Rangers?
I think it's too early to say. I think...
But say it anyway, tell us.
I think it will be close. Yeah. Again, I think it will be a close title. I don't think Ange Postecoglou will compromise on any of his philosophies. I think you're going to see a very attack-minded Celtic.
Can they bridge the 20-point gap?
I don't think you'll see anywhere near that kind of chasm between them at the top, but I think so much will come down to what they can do in a defensive sense too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big call tonight. Tonight and tomorrow, a lot of Celtic fans will look and say, what are you going to do to back this manager?
I think he's been well back so far, but I think, as you say, I think they need a left back and they need a centre half. I think that's the two positions. If Edouard goes into another striker, so I think there'll be a lot of movement. I don't think there'll be a lot of movement at Rangers. I think their business is done. Maybe one out, one big name. We're talking about Barisic, but Celtic, I still think there could be 1 or 2 out and 3 or 4 in.
I think the bigger question is, can the two of them catch Hibs and Hearts?
Yeah. Ruffy, what a look at Ali's face, eh? Ali, who's been sitting there at the top of the predictor table, and then just that look of disgust towards you, Ruffy. That was fantastic, Ali. We'll leave you with that line from Alan Ruff. Hibs at the top, nicely tucked in second place. Hearts from Ruffy, from Tam McManus, from the top of the table, Alison McConnell, and myself, Peter Martin. Thanks for watching.